Welcome once again to Daily Life Connection. Thanks for joining me as we continue to explore Luke 15 and how it shows us the Father's heart. Today I want to talk about the idea that God is not Santa Claus. What do I mean by that? Santa keeps a list of who's naughty and who's nice, and he rewards the nice boys and girls. He comes to visit them and brings them presents and gifts and all sorts of good things. And the naughty boys and girls he ignores, or he gives them a lump of coal or whatever. Santa Claus is a performance-based operating system. And that's not who God is. This story reminds us that grace actually favors the bad boys and girls. Grace favors bad boys and girls. Jesus is not a superhero that came to save the innocent people, the righteous people. He said, I didn't come for those who are righteous or who think they're righteous, who think they're okay, or who are doing their very best to be okay. I didn't come for them. I came for those who know they're hopeless losers. I came for those who know they haven't got a snowball's chance of ever being really righteous through their own behavior. He came, it's scandalous. It's scandalous that he came for the bad boys and girls. All the great heroes have always come to save the good boys and girls from the clutches of the evil ones. Well, I know God does deliver us and bring victory to us when we are besieged. But the reality is, in the very basic core truth of the gospel, there is this truth that Jesus came for bad boys and girls. He came to bless them. He came to redeem them. He came to adopt them. Isn't that interesting? You see, if you're going to adopt a child and you go to an orphanage and there's a selection, a range of children that are open for adoption, we wouldn't tend to necessarily go through the orphanage looking for the worst behaved one and say, that's the one I want. We wouldn't go through the most and look at the one who's surly and insolent and nasty. We wouldn't say, oh, that's the one I want. We look for someone who's compliable and gracious and, has good manners. We would come to save the good boy and girl, to take them out of that situation. But God comes and picks the worst of us. That's what these Pharisees were complaining about in verse 1. Why are you favoring these people, tax collectors? They were the most despicable people who were overtaxing they were getting rich off their own people by working for the Roman government that was oppressing and persecuting them. And why would you ever, they're saying, sit down and eat with them? Why would you ever celebrate with them? Why would you ever treat them like they're okay and like they're your good friends? Jesus said, those are the ones I came to save. You know, we love it when we read that verse. Jesus said, I've come to seek and save those who are lost. We love that. Except we don't understand oftentimes. We think he came to save the lost who really want to be found, who really want to be good. No, he came to save the lost. He came to save the baddest of them all. He came to save the most despicable. He just came to save, and that's in this story with this younger brother who is just at the very bottom of the religious heap. He is as irreligious as you can get, being a Jew and slopping pigs and bringing shame on his family and consorting with all kinds of sensual pleasures and being self-indulgent. And that's the bottom, the worst. He's the worst kid in the orphanage. And yet the Father goes, I want you. I want you. That's grace. Grace is so scandalously unfair. Again, we talked yesterday about the bookkeeping thing. And if I believe I want God to be fair instead of gracious, it's because I don't really understand who I am. If I understand who I really am and how much I really fail and how much my pride is more obnoxious to God than some of these self-indulgent sins that this guy was committing, if we don't understand that, we don't understand we need grace. But when we do understand it, when we do understand our desperate need of the grace of God, then we are so thankful for it. And I think that's part of why these people were flocking to Jesus. The religious people were condemning them and judging them and ostracizing them and pointing out their sins and holding them off at a distance. And Jesus comes along embracing them and laughing with them and eating with them and celebrating with them and treating them like equals. And that attracted them to him. They couldn't understand that. How could this Jewish rabbi who kept the law, how could he treat us like this? That's the good news of God's grace, and it's what we as a church are called to do. We're not called to be Santa and go out and try and rescue those who deserve rescuing, although we do that too, but we're called primarily to go out and rescue those who have no intention of being good, who have no real interest in it, those who are really irreligious, and show them the love of God and the grace of God, and let that attract them, let that bring them into the kingdom. Well, some stuff to chew on today, isn't it? Let's think about this. And if you need to go back and listen again, that's okay too, because sometimes some of this is a lot to chew on and a lot to think. God, give us wisdom and revelation to understand the power of the truth that you are a God of grace. We'll talk again tomorrow.